Hello again. Happy to see you in the second video. Happy to know that you are interested in community Canva model. So as I mentioned, on some certain stage of work of our organization in Svita, we decided to integrate community development into the core, into the vision and into the mission. And also we started to look at our organizational structure as a range of few communities. That is why we started to look for instruments, for theoretical approaches to understand better how to manage community, how to do it in more effective way, how to know strong sides, how to know weak sides. That is why a colleague of mine started to look for these approaches, and we found Community Canvas Guide. It is a guide developed for 3 guys from different countries: Fabian Proftmüller, Nico Latzinger, and Sasha Mombatz. The 3 guys were working more than 50 years with diverse communities, and they decided to write down their experience. And they consider community as something very unique as people, but they also see that there are some similar processes. The Community Canvas explains structure, identity, and experience of community. And if you remember sense of community as sociological concept, which we mentioned in previous video, there is no question about structure, yeah? It is only about how do people feel. And Community Canva explain full picture. I think it is not the full picture at all yet, because it is a one of instrument, but for now it's one of the fullest instruments and range of questions helping to understand your community better. Community Canvas was developed for all people willing to build long-lasting and meaningful relationship. Either you work as HR, either you work with organization or with alumni groups, with fellowship program, with monthly outdoors activities, etc., Community Canva can be helpful for you. For some people, it can look like that it is too much structure. Yeah, if we talk about community and that it is about relationship between individuals, but this structure can help if you would like to go step by step. In this video, I will guide you through Community Canva, not in very details. I will share some comments, and also in next video I will share some practical tips how to use these parts of Community Canvas, but at least that you have some first impression. So Community Canva has 3 main sections. It's identity, experience, and structure. Section identity answer the main question: what is community about and what it is for? And identity in Community Canva is in the center. The second part is experience. This part explaining which experience people do have in this community. And the third part, called structure, explains how community can work, who ruled it, who managed it, who financed it. And Community Canva founders, they say that there is no more important part than other. All of 3 are equal, and all of 3 have to be well established if you want to have successful community. So first part, identity. In this part, few sections, you have a few themes which include this identity part, and each theme have a bench of questions. If you will go through the guide, and you can find it on the web page of Community Canva, you will find all questions, and answering them one by one, you will see which answers you already have, which answer you have to look for. Identity consists of such themes. First is purpose. Do your community has purpose? Is it clear for all in the community? It can be hard to answer, but it should be answered if you, again, would like to have long-lasting community. What is interesting, or what is practically important, that purpose of the community can be internal and external. I've mentioned already community in the village, which has internal purpose to help each other, But if we develop community around some project, around some partnership project, or around alumni of some programs, it can have external aim which can be defined by this program which people belong to. The second theme of identity part, it's actually identity, because community always for someone. People have to have some similarities to be part of the community. It can be geographical, social, ideological, experiential similarities, and other. What is interesting for me, that is always in the community some super users, so it's mean people who are very active, who follow in all the activities, initiating activities, and there is always people who are not so active. So if you would like to build active community, you have to accept that not all people will be active at all. And also what should be considered in identity part, it is diversity. Yes, we talk a lot about diversity in all possible contexts, but here we should accept that people are different. Not all the same kind of meetings fit for all people, not the same kind of communicational channels meet for all people, etc. The third theme of identity section is values. What is important for our group? And always what is tricky about values, that we have to find our way to develop them. Either few people suggest them and others follow, either all community develop their values. Like smart communities should find their balance between bottom-up and down-up way of finding and defining our values. The next theme of identity section is success definition. So how we define success of our community. Very often, if we are there, if people are there and they are together, somebody expects from them to do something. But when we can tell that our community is successful, how we measure it, how we see that we are successful, those questions are also nice to think about in the beginning of the project, of the process of building community, or if you are already in the community, you can always come back to this question. And the last theme of identity section is a brand of community. So your community definitely have nice stories. But do we talk about the stories? Do we tell them externally? Do we represent community by these stories in that way? Not often. So please think about how you share stories from your community, that it can be better represented outside. Now we are moving to the next section, which is experience. And section experience also have few themes. First one is entry point and member selection. So it is important how people get to the community. Quite often we just collect some group of people, and on some certain stage we see, oh, some part of people are not active. They do not want to follow what we would like to have in the community. And then here we can come back to the question, how people get there, yeah? What they agree with when they were entering. Did we care about this question before? And the same following after the entry point is how people exit from the community. Also, please think about it. A very important part of experience section is shared experience. So what do people have in common? How their values, their ideas led to some particular activities. Why some activities are more important than other activities. It is also important to think about content, which content matter here in the community. And also in experience part, we think about rules and roles. Which rules do we follow? Which roles do we create for members of the community? Very often when we think that people do not want to take active part, do not want to take active role, we should ask ourselves at that point, do we create those roles? Do people know that some roles can be taken? Is it visible for all of them? And now the third part of the community canvas is organization. This part actually answering how community works. And I have in mind always body structure, yes, that if we have body and if we have muscles, we always need some skeleton. So actually this third part, organization part, is about skeleton of your community. First theme is who runs the community and how it organized. Is there somebody, one who leads the community, or there is a board, or there is a horizontal decision making? These all are difficult questions, but they have to be clear for other people in the community for be successful community. It's also about governance, how these decisions are made, and it's quite often, if those questions are not clear, people can feel dismotivated or can feel not a part of the community because somebody else is making decision is in not very clear way. Another theme of the organization part is channels and platform. It's easy from one side, how people communicate, but it's always hard to define this platform, where people communicate. Is there only one platform, or which fit better for whom, and some other platforms fit better for other group of people? We should take care about channels we define. And the last part of organizational section is data management. I think this part very often missing in community management because which data do we collect about our community? What do we know? Where do people active? If they meet, do we know about it? If they take some initiatives or develop some initiatives, do we know about it? In my work, I quite often do very precise analyzing. For example, in Creative Enterprise Ukraine alumna community, how many people react in Telegram channel, how do people react in Facebook group, how many people open a newsletter. This analysis can show that many people using different channels, many people active in their separate channels, and you can get input how to communicate further in your community. This is one example, but in general, think about which data for you should be collected that you can understand better your community. More practical tools and tips how to use this question from Community Canvas guide I will introduce in next video. See you there.